Nada Debs. So Nada is the sort of almost the symbol of the hinterland. If anybody is into furniture and interiors, they'll probably know her work. And if you go to a hip hotel in New York or London, you'll see her work, or in galleries increasingly. And Nada was from a third generation from a Silk Road family. She was the Debs are a famous textile maker in Japan, and they emigrated several, I think her grandfather, great-grandfather went. So she was born and brought up in Japan. She studied at the Rhode Island School of Design. She lived in London for a while and started making furniture, and then she moved back to Lebanon, and she says that her work is really about, because I said you're sort of like Esperanto, because you've got all of these influences. You're explaining how, you know, the Arabic instinct is for ornament, emotion, lavish, it's sort of overflowing, but with these beautiful geometries. But then coming from Japan, there's this sort of organic, rectilinear sort of formalism, and then American is just brutal, just nothing goes into it unless it's absolutely needed, and it's just stripped down. She said that everything in American design is a bit like Shaker. There's just like, you get to the bare chair, like the skeleton, and that's beautiful. And then she started making her own stuff, and she said this has really helped her work out who she is, because she grew up in Japan, which is quite quiet and formal, but she's sort of, having spoken to her, she's quite loud and ebullient and Lebanese. And she said it's not Esperanto at all. I found a living human way, and actually my work has helped me be an Arab Japanese. And it's working out this thing. And as you said, it's not globalization or something, it's actually the creative process. And her stuff is beautiful, and she's very, from her more formal background, she's very cautious about patterns. She's sort of started moving from polygons to sort of some polygons together. She doesn't go to these sort of wall-sized sort of Islamic geometries, but she's exquisite. And the other big root of her work is craft. So it's all possible because she's got people who have been apprenticed from generation to generation. And she said, you just sit and watch them work, and it's so beautiful. The compelling thing is we need this to be human, and we're losing it. That these crafts are really important to stay human. So, and she puts all of this into her work, and you can sort of buy it in a chair.
And how mainstream is she in her market? I mean, she perceives quite avant-garde, or is that quite?
I'd have to ask the audience actually. I mean, some people here know her work. I see her as reasonably high end. I sort of fairly expensive, but I think she's hugely valued and followed, for instance, in the Middle East, because she's seen as this beautiful blend of the sort of Arab sensibility, but also modernism, and it's cool and sits really well in your pad in Dubai and so forth. So she's commercially quite successful, but she's got increasingly into just exploring this thing about opposites. She was telling me about a piece she's making for a museum, which was all about lightness and weight, and she was saying she's using concrete and then these beautiful natural inlays, and doing actually quite innovative research into how she can make the legs as spindly as possible so that the object looks impossible, and she just has this delight and kind of paradox. And that she's getting drawn more to that kind of artistic work.
Mm-hmm.